so everything should be good. All right, so the first thing we are going to do is download the repo. Pretty simple. We'll clone it into testing or video. All right, then we'll need to open it into our IDE. Let's see. Oh, wrong folder. All right. Sorry. Okay, then we need to install the packages. Just run npm install into your command prompt wherever you installed the project or clone the project. Then after that, we will start the project and see what's going on. Takes forever. Yes, whatever all that is. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start the project. All right, so we have basically a skeleton for this project. We have a main page with 3 shelves currently reading. Want to read, with some books, and this button will change the shelf to each book so we can move them, but it doesn't do anything, so we'll need to make that work later. Then we have a search page, which also does nothing, so we will need to make that work. But first, let's go into the project down here. So we'll go to source, and all the code is located inside app. This is a lot of mumbo jumbo for me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to split all this into components. So we know how a bookshelf works. So bookshelf has books, has shelves. So we could split, we can make a component shelf, then we can make a component book because it's reusable. So, you know, the shelf is used 3 times. A book is used as many times as there is a book. So let's come over here to source, make a new directory called components. Then in here, we can make a React component called shelf. All right, we'll just name this shelf components. Then actually, one sec. I want to install ESLint. It makes my code easier to read and cleans it up a lot. So we go ahead and do that. If you want to read more about it, I think it's eslint.org. We'll just do that. And then I need to make my code editor to use ESLint. We'll enable it. That's just an optional step. I love using it. So, all right, let's go back to our component. All right, so we just have a basic component. Let's make another component called book. Name it book. All right, we just got that down for now. We can come back over here to app. Okay, so basically what's going on is this is just an estate. So when the fab down here, the floating action button is clicked, the search page is viewed. So it's just setting a state of show search page to true when clicked. Back arrow, it is setting the state to false to show the home page. So we are going to incorporate routing instead of doing that. So we are going to actually lost. Let's go ahead and copy our shelves and books over to its own component. So bookshelf, this is a whole shelf with books in it. So we can just go ahead and copy that. And we can place it right into shelf component. Then book, then inside the shelf, there's books listed. So what we can do is we can take out list item, which is a book. So we can take that out and we can put it in its own component. All right, and we'll worry about populating the information later. We just want to clean the project up so it's easier to work with. So we can actually delete that. And this is where we will be putting our book component. So just import it and just place it there. All right, back to app. So we have these shelves left over. We'll just delete these for now. We'll populate the shelves later with our 3 shelves. Drag copy. All right. Then right here, we can place our shelf component. And let's just make sure that works. There we go. We got 1 shelf and 1 book. That's good enough for now. So, all right, what else can we make? Split it up. We can make this another component, our fab, just to clean up the code a little bit more. So we'll make another component called fab. This is all optional. You can just work through app.js, but it's just a lot of mumbo jumbo, like I said. So we'll just put that in there. And we come back to app and we can just place our fab component. Fab is not defined. There we go. Define now. So let's make sure it actually loads up. There it is down there still. Okay, so what else can we remove? We can make actually 2 views. So one view would be the home page and the second view would be the search page. So, or you can name it pages. I like it. Name it view. So we'll come to views, then we'll make another component called home. Then home. Then another view called search. And that's search. All right, then we come back to app. And here's the whole search page. So we just copy that. Then we can go back to views, search, place it inside search. And then for home, we can just copy that little piece of code and place it inside this render function. And now app is cleaned up, except this. So what we can do is, now we need to incorporate routing. So npm install react router DOM. We'll come over here to index. Then we need to import browser router from React. Well, then we just wrap browser router components around app. So okay, then in app we need to show our views. So what are our routes? So we need to come up here. Actually delete that. We don't need that no more. That was that is now placed in home. So then we import switch route from React router DOM. Is it called React router DOM? Yes, it is. It did not install. Can't spell today. All right. We'll come down here to this. We'll remove this. This was just a state handling for switching the views. We will need to switch our routes. We'll make one route, two, or we need it to be exact path of just the regular home page. Our component render is going to be home, which we need to import home from our views up here. So import home views home. All right, we'll close that route. And we need to make another route called or for our search page. Then exact to path search component will equals the search component. And it already imported it for me. Remove that. And remove that. And we don't need this state no more. Oops, so we need to close that, don't we? All right, let's see if everything works correctly. Oh, it's not working correctly. Oh man, what did I do? Exact. Sorry. Oh, I should have prepped. I'm just gonna go over here to my old project and pull it up. So let's see. We'll come down here to with brain reads, source, app. Oh, it's path. It's link to, not path to. Or I mean route to, it's path. There we go. We get our home page. And we get our search page. All right, that was just a mild inconvenience. So, okay, so we have routing done. So, route exact path of just local hosts. We're going to render a component, and then our exact path um, search. Then we're going to render our search component. So for now, we'll go back to home and our shelves. We can actually make 3 shelves, and this is just how I'm going to do it today. There's so many different routes you can take on actually making this project. So then our title for this shelf is going to be currently reading. Title for this shelf equals want to read. Title for this shelf equals read. For books we have already read. So. All right, then inside shelf, we need to take our prop title and just render it and see what happens. This oh, it's props. There we go. So we get 3 shelves currently reading, want to read, read. All right, so we have our shelves. And on our first initial load, we need to get the books from the API. So we'll go down here to books API. So you're just going to generate a random token to store your books, books you have added, deleted. So this, once it's generated, you don't want to delete it or you just lose all your books. So we want to get will just get a single book details. Get all will get all your books. Update will move the books bookshelf. So if you moved a book, it'll move it shelf. Searches. So we want to get all. We want to get all the books so we can populate our shelves and books. So we go to our home page and components, did mount, and I will make this a asynchronous function. Then we'll try const books equals wait to get the books. And we'll actually need to import get all from the book API. Hey, wait, whoops. Get all. And we'll just log the results and see what we get. And if there's any error, we'll log the error. Make function. Oh, let's see. Oh, spelled it wrong. And this that's just like a dot then dot catch, but it just looks more pretty for me. So we'll open our console and we get an array of books. So we will need to place each of these books in its own shelf. And if we open a book and view its details, we get title, authors, which is an array. We get image links. We get a small thumbnail and a thumbnail shelf. So we get shelf. So we will need to place currently reading books in our currently reading shelf. Want to read in its own blah blah blah. So let's go ahead and do that. But also I want to do something else. I want to handle my state a little bit better. So I'm going to use something called Context API, React Context API. So I'm going to make a provider folder. In our provider folder, I am going to make a file called index. Whoops. Index. A React component index. Delete. React component index. And you can read more about it right here if you want to. But to use it, we need to make a context, export const my context equals react.create context. And this will just handle our state to a higher level. So we just like pass our state down as props instead of like mumbo jumbo. It just keeps it a lot cleaner in my view. So then we'll come down here and our render will need to make constructor and don't take no props. We'll delete that and this dot state. So what we want our provider to handle is our books, which will be an array. Then our currently reading books. So we can render currently reading books onto its own shelf. Want to read books, which is also an array of objects, not filter. Read. And that's it for now. What? I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. Then down here we will, to be honest, forget. We'll go back to my old project component. Okay, so we just my context dot provider. Then in here we want to pass our value, which will be this dot state. The spread operator. All right. Then we'll pass the value to all the children. This dot props dot children. And you return that. All right. Then to our app, we will need to use our provider so we can pass down the props. So we'll wrap our switch with our provider, which we'll import from import provider from provider. And since it's just index, we don't need to say index. So provider. And also we need to import our context from there, and then consumer. We're going to consume provider state. And then context. Oh, you know what? Actually, to simplify this, instead of rendering components, render arrow function my context dot consumer. Context home context. And close. And close. All right, so let's see if that actually works. Reload that. Still an error, so what error do we have? Oh, we need another clue. And we'll just go ahead and copy it from. Sorry. Let's see. Starting a little slow, but we'll get there. All right, so let's just see if that works. Okay, so we'll come over here to our React DevTools. We'll go down here. You know what? We'll just. All right, our home. So our home has all those props from provider. So we'll do the exact same thing for search component. And change home to search. All right, so we'll go back to home, or actually we'll go to provider. So on provider, we want a sorry, a function to update this dot state. Since we can't mutate the state, we need to make a function called updates, or you know what, we'll just do add books for now. And we'll take books and we'll need that. And books will be, you know what, we'll go back down here to home. We'll do it here first. Okay, so books, we want to pull the shelves from books. So we can do const currently reading equals books dot filter. So we're returning new array from our condition inside filter book. Then we want book dot shelf equal currently reading. Then we want another shelf with its corresponding books. Okay. All right. I don't know what all that was for. Red equals books dot filter book dot shelf equals red. Want to read a shelf, so want to read equal books dot filter book. Then we want to match the shelf equal wanting or want to read. All right, so we have our three shelves along with its books. The books dot filter will return a new array if this matches. If the book dot shelf equals currently reading, it'll put it inside a new array of currently reading, read, want to read. Then for our, we could just go ahead and log that real quick and see what we get. Okay, so we get books. We get 2 books for wanting to currently reading, 2 more books for wanting to read, 6 books. Or want to read it, I type it wrong. All right, so what we want to do is we want to update our provider's state. So we can come back here for books. We actually don't need to put this no more. We'll just copy this. So we can come to our provider and our books. We'll just pass add books. Our books will be from our get all. So we'll just pass it to this function, which will be a prop. Then we can do this dot set state. We'll set the books to all the books we're getting. We'll set currently reading. Red, want to read. All right, then we'll come back to our home page. All we need to do is this dot props dot add books. And we'll come back here, reload. We'll wait for that to load. Then home should have books, 10 books, currently reading, 2 books, read 2 books, want to read 6 books. Pretty awesome. I think this is different because I have, we'll go to clear site data. Our home, there we go. It's actually 2, 3, 2. So we have 7 books, 2 books on currently reading shelf, 3 books on read, and 2 books on want to read. So we need to add that to each shelf. So for our shelves, since we're right here and we have the props on home, we could just simply enter this prop into its corresponding shelf. So for this, we want books to equal, we'll spread, we'll just do books equals this dot props dot currently reading. And then down here, we'll do books equals this dot props dot want to read. Then books equals this dot props read. And we'll come back to our dev tools. On our shelf, there we go. We want to make sure that our shelves are receiving the props. So it has 2 books. Our next shelf has 2 books, and this shelf has 3 books. Okay, so we know our shelf has received the books. We want to actually render the books. So what we could do is we want to check if the books is defined, and we'll render book. We'll actually map over the books. Then a single book. Then we will put the details into the book, but I'm going to use a spread operator. So we're just going to do book, which will spread out all the book details into its own component instead of calling like this.books.title, blah, blah, blah. It's just going to be like this.props.title. So kind of like this. We'll close that. We'll also need to have a key, which will just be a book.id. All right. And there we go. So we know this shelf had 2 books. This shelf down here had 2 books. This shelf has 3 books. But it's still showing repetitiveness. So we need to actually update each shelf. I mean, each image, the authors, and the title with its own corresponding title or prop. So we'll start right here with title. This is just going to be this.props.title. Down here for author, going to be this.props.authors 0. It is an array. We'll come back for error handling later. And for our background image, we're going to use a string template. So URL this.props.image links thumbnail, I'll recall. All right. All right, let's see what we get. All right, there we go. So each book has its own image. They have a title. They have authors. So what we can do now is when the user changes the book shelf, it actually moves the book to its own shelf. So let's go to our provider because we want to handle that up here. We can call move book. No, move book. Say book dot shelf for now. All right. No, shelf function. But first off, let's go back to our book. Then we come down here. Let's see. Shelf currently reading. We want to make a call on here, right here. So this is where we are changing our books. So we can import search or update from book API. All right, then handle change equals E, which will be our target element. We'll just console log.e. All right. Then down here on select, on change, we will just call this.handle change. All right, so let's see what happens. Oh, that's in the render function. We don't want that in there. All right, so if we click it, we get the shelf we want to put it on. So we can make this asynchronous. Try. We want to try const result equals wait to update book this dot props, which is the whole book object. But it was spreaded out, so to put it back into a whole object, we need to put it in some curly braces. Then to the new shelf, which will be const shelf equals e dot target dot value shelf, and we'll log the result and see what happens. Const book equals this dot props. There we go. Then catch any errors, console log error. And this will actually throw an error if we have it out of the try and catch. Want to read. All right, so let's refresh the page now. It does nothing. Currently reading. Red. Ugh. We'll just debug it. Okay, it says currently reading. Want to read. Why is it not moving its shelf? No, okay, that's what we had wrong. So when we move our shelves, we actually had to reload the page. So what we need to do is with our result, we need to update our books on the client side. So what we can do is, okay, so search our book. We need to pass this or move book equals this dot props dot move book. And then in our book, we can do this dot props move book book shelf. Then we'll come back to our provider. We'll log and make sure everything works good. Y'all are still watching. Okay, just making sure. Move book. What was the error we have? Move book. So on our shelf, move book. This dot props dot move book. So let's just open our dev tools and see what. Shelf, book, home, move book. It's not getting passed down to our shelf component. Our props, there's no this dot move book. So our home, this is why we only passed this. We didn't the whole state down. So move book equals this dot move book, and we'll place that 3. Then our dev tools will inspect a single book, and our book should have move book, as you can see right there. And so with our shelf, move book, and that's coming all the way from the provider. So Well, if we actually move a book, we get the details. We get our book details and our shelf, book and shelf. Okay, so what we can do now is const move book equals wait 1 second. Go back to our book. Move book, we're calling move book. Result, we need to pass our results back too. So go on move book, we'll go back to move book, new shelves. 1 second. Testing. And I had this earlier. Provide. I'll just copy that. Okay, so what I did is change that. This.site.books, we're gonna map over all the books. We'll just rename that. Then what we want to do is in our return result from the update function, it returns 3 shelves, currently reading, want to read, and read, with all its corresponding book IDs. So what we are looking for, we mapped over all the books. Then we want to find new shelf is the shelf that we moved it to. So we select that shelf, then we find the ID corresponding with the looped over books. Then if it is found, then we will set the shelf to the new shelf. Then we'll return the modified object. Then what we do is for the new books, it does it for all the books. So we'll just come back up here and call all books, and all books will filter out each shelf's for currently reading, read, and want to read. So let's see if it works. All right, so want to read. Didn't do anything. Oh no. Want to read? Oh, there we go. Just I reload the page. Read. See as they switch around. If you want to go over that again, so there's probably other methods and routes that you can take, but I'm mapping over all the books. We'll make it, which will return a new array. Then we find we're selecting the shelf that we moved it to. Then we find the ID to make sure it moved. And if it did find it, so if it did successfully move it to a new shelf, we assign it that bookshelf to the new shelf that we moved it to. Then we return all the books, even the modified one, which will store it in new books, and we'll pass new books to add books, kind of like what we did with get all books from the server. Sorry. Okay, so we have moving books around. See what else we could do. Okay, so what we need to do is see how these all say they're on currently reading, but we need to mark its own, because if I click currently reading, it won't move, so it needs to be its own shelf, so it needs to be highlighted as red. So we can come back to book, then value equals this dot props dot shelf, I believe. Yes. Okay. So each shelf, is currently reading, or each book has the option highlighted for its own shelf. So currently reading has currently reading highlighted. Want to read has want to read, and red. So we can actually change it to these three. We just can't change it to red again because it's already in that shelf, you know. So, bam. Then we will. Let's see. I believe we are done with the home page. We can come to the search page. We will actually need to add routing. I forgot to do that. So once this fab is clicked, which is called a fab floating action button, it will open search page. So on our fab, we'll just change that. We'll import link from browser or React router DOM. And we'll just make this link to home or search. Close it. Can't spell search, can I? Bam, we'll click it, search, and then we need the back arrow button to go back to the home page. So we will go to our search page, find where that's located. We'll make this a link to the home page. So import link from React router DOM. Then we'll come down here and change this to a link component, and then path, to the home page. Home page, search page. Home page, search page. All right. We search, and nothing pops up. So we'll come back here to search page. I don't know what that is. We'll delete that. And then we could do handle change, async, e, which will be our e.target.value from our input, arrow function, console log. Try. What we'll try, we will try to search from the book API. God, I can't spell. Come on. All right. Const results equals weight. A weight, one weight. Search. Query will be the target value of the input button, which we'll set in a second. Query console log result. Then we want to handle change on our input down here. So on change, this change. We'll also set the value for that. So we'll do we'll add a constructor function, and then this dot state query is set to nothing. We'll just do that. Then we can do this dot set state query equal, or just query. Then value for this is this dot state dot query. I forgot to add a catch. So if any errors or error, console log error. And there's our search. Okay, so if we type, string, there is no books returned. But if we just type S, there is 20 books returned. So instead of failing or returning a 400 error or of anything response code. It just returns a 200 and sets an error object. So we could do if results dot error. We'll do something else. We'll do something else. And what we'll want to do is we'll add another. We'll add books to our state, which will be an object of arrays. Then we could do this dot state. We'll clear our books that we will render. So there's no books. If a results.error is thrown, we'll just clear the books from our state. But if there's no error, then we'll populate our book array. So that state books equal results. We'll delete that. We'll see if that works. We'll come back to this. We'll just type S and we'll check our search page, and our state has 20 books. So if we type E, it has no books. There's no books with SSD. And 20 books again. And we'll also okay, so if we type something, then we back all the way up, it throws an error when it's empty. So we need to check if the target, if the input is not empty. So if query, we'll do all that. Whoops. Okay, we'll trim just in case it has leading or ending space. What happened? Oh, there we go. We're setting our state down here, so we need to set it above query or checking if it's fine. So there you go. They don't throw no errors. Make sure it's actually setting our books though. Okay, so it is, but once our query is empty, it still has 20 books over here. So we type something, you know, it's still 20 books. We type something that don't have book title or author with this query, it returns 0. But once we delete all that, still 20, there's no query. We need to set else this dot set state books empty array. Okay, now down here to our book grid, delete that, close, open, close. Then what we'll need to do is map over our books. So this dot state dot books, we'll check if it's defined, or books length is greater than 0. And this dot state dot books dot map over each book, and we'll render a book component. And book component takes props of, we'll just spread the book out again. Then move book equals this dot props dot move book. And we'll close it. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, there we go. We'll also need a key again, so key equals book.id. Okay, so what happened was, actually I had an error. If I type B, what happens is there's no thumbnail. So we need to do some error handling inside our book component. So if there's no thumbnail, then we'll just render no image, but it'll still have a height and a width. So we'll check if this dot props dot it has images. If it does, then we'll render the thumbnail. If it doesn't, we'll render nothing. Let's see if that works. There we go. See, My First Life has no book title. Type A. Okay, we have another error. So cannot read property 0 of undefined. So meaning there is no authors. So we also need to set. We'll need to check if there is authors. So this dot props. And then if there is, we'll render the first author. If there's not, no author somehow. A ghost wrote it. We'll type I again and we'll look. Was it I? Oh. I don't know what I typed. I had no. There it is. No author. Okay, so that's good. What happens if we move book? Want to read. So we'll just move that book to want to read. And there it is. Want to read. All right, so if we go back to our search page, fitness. All right, so we have that same book that we just searched, but we put it on want to read shelf. We didn't put it on currently reading. Our shelf is each book. On the change function, the value is selected to its corresponding shelf. Well, that's incorrect. So we need to, because when you pull it from search, it doesn't come with a shelf. It's just searching all the books, not your books. So what we need to do, our shelf component, search component. We need to find, what can we do? And filter our books. Kind of brain dead. This dot state dot books map. Well, no. Okay, what we could do is we'll do this. Okay, we'll map over all the books. Const found shelf equals this dot props dot books dot filter. We'll filter search book. If the search book, the props dot books, that's all the books from our home page, from our provider. Book is the search books. So we'll check if we can find a matching book. Of ID equals dot ID. What is console log? Found show. And we'll just delete that. I mean, I guess we can still render. And we delete that. There we go. Oops. Search book is not defined. Search. Misspelling again. We'll type F. There's no matching, but we have that book on our homepage, don't we? Yeah. All right, I gotta be right back, guys. I have to use the restroom. Sorry. All right, sorry about that. Dang coffee got me. So, where were we at? Okay, we were trying to find the corresponding shelf with the search book. So, y'all are still here. All right. Filter book.id. Found a shelf. Oh wait, oh, we found something. What is this? Oh, there it is. All right. So, what we can do is set the shelf. So we'll just do, sorry, search or found shelf. If we, oh wait, we'll delete that. We'll type in F again. We'll come up here. Why is it not? Huh. All right. Then if we look at it, it will not have, oh, it does have a shelf there. We'll return. Oh, we could do book.shelf equals shelf. If found shelf, then we'll set the book. Else, we'll set the bookshelf to none because we don't have it. So, oh no, not triple equals, double equals, single equals. We're not comparing. All right, so we'll type in F again. Oh, you know what's okay? So every time we reload the page, we go to our, we'll come over here and look at our provider for value, or we'll just go to our search page. There's no books. We're not calling get all on our search page, only on our homepage. So we need to get all books for search page too. So we'll just come back over here to home. We'll just copy that. Then we'll go to our search page. There's probably a better method than doing this, but whatever. All right, so if we reload the page, why is it popping up to browser? Okay. We'll come to search, and there it is, all of our books. Then if we type F, our book is right there. Wait. Reload the page. F. Currently reading. Is it on currently reading? Move it to red. We'll go back to book. Desktop props up. Now let's just select this book. So that's the book, our shelf. We don't have a shelf here. All right, so search page. I found shelf. Book.shelf. Found shelf. Else. Then return. I'm going a little brain dead. Guess it's good to see how to figure out your issues you're having, so. Like the book again. Where's our shelf? No shelf. So it's not setting the shelf. Booked up. You know, I guess we could shelf equals found shelf. You know what? Let's just see what happens there. Undefined, undefined, undefined. Oh gosh, you know what? It's an array. Fine. Not filter. There we go. All right. Then we do if found shelf book.shelf equals found shelf dot else dot shelf. There it is. Okay, so all these other have none on there now. Yeah, I was just trying to filter out all the results. I just needed to find one. So just like find one book, not filter out all the books. Gosh, that was not very smart. Small error. Right, so F. Then what we could do is wanting to read. Then it's still there. So um, go back to F. Currently reading. Currently reading. Currently reading. No, read. Let's see. How would we handle that? So we just do it simply. Book if that's not value props up shelf equals e dot target dot value. F wanting to read, currently reading. Event. Oh yeah, I've had issues with this. Um oh yeah, never mind. Sorry. Um it'll be fine, I guess. You can figure that out on your side. My brain's kind of hurting a little bit. All right. So search page works. Red. We'll go back to the red. And there it is. Wanting to read, currently reading. Yeah. Everything works. Search page, home page. All right. Questions, I guess. Oh, it's still here. Um, yeah, it's recording. I'll upload it to YouTube later. It'll be full HD or 2K, so um, it'll be perfectly good on your size. So, any questions? Yeah, I'm sorry. It's good. I think I did all right. I don't know, but let me check out the rubric and make sure we did everything good. So, um, the Udacity. Um, I want to make sure everything good. We went over everything correctly. So, my reads. I think so. Okay. Yeah, it just requires that'll pass. README, you could do that your own. The main page has 3 shelves. Yes, each shelf, there's 3 shelves currently reading, 1 to read, red. Along with its title and authors, yes, each have its own titles and authors. The main page shows a control that allows user to move books between shelves. The control should be tied to each book instance. The functionality of moving a book to a different shelf works correctly. Currently reading, currently reading. Want to read, want to read. All right. When the browser refresh, the same information is displayed on the page. All right, so we got 3, 4, and 5. 3, 4, and 5. The search page behaves correctly as the user types into the search field. Books that match the query are displayed on the page along with their titles and authors. We did not do that. Search results are not shown when all the text is deleted out of the search input box. Let's see. You know what we can do? We deleted it earlier. Okay, so this is just rendering if there is books in our state. So we can just do if this dot state or this dot state dot books dot length equals 0 and h1 style text align center no results found. Can't spell, can I? All right, so we got that done. Let's see what else. Invalid queries are handled and prior search results are not shown. So if we type F, there's books. Type F again, the prior results are not shown. The user is able to search for multiple words such as artificial intelligence. Yes. Search results on the page allow the user to select currently reading once read to replace the book in the current shelf. Yes. If a book is assigned to a shelf on the page and that book appears on the search page, the correct shelf. Yes, we got that one done. Such as we type F. There we go. Routing, yes, routing works. Back, forward. Back, forward. Yes, everything works good. All right, guys. Sorry it took almost 2 hours to do this project. I really didn't study very well for it, but we got it to work. So, and it would pass except our package, our README needs to be updated, maybe some comments stuff, but everything else is functional. So, all right, guys, I'll upload this to YouTube, edit it out a little bit, clean it up, and y'all can view it later. I use async because it's just cleaner for me. You can use .then. Let's see. So I don't know. Instead of doing, let's see, update .books. I mean update shelf .then books or a result. You know, blah, whatever you want to do with it. Dot catch. It just looks more cleaner with async. It's the exact same thing. Just I like it better. So it's personal preference. So you can use .then async, whatever, as long as it works. That's the point. Make it work and functional. Any other questions? All right, I'll upload it to YouTube. Thanks, guys, for watching. Bye.